Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, Brian the Floridian. I'm back to you guys from Safety Harbor, Florida, which has this park behind me that is really cool, interesting facts inside this park that we're going to find out as we go past the gates. But first, it's called Philippe Park, and it's called, it says a historic site of the Tocobaga capital city. It's right there on the sign, on the wall there. So let's go check it out. Follow me. So guys, one of the main parks here in Safety Harbor, Florida, which is pretty decent sized park. This is the first wall when you drive in. It says Philippe Park, historical site of the Tocobaga capital city. And over there it says Philippe Park, Pinellas County Park. So there is something cool inside this park that we're gonna go check out and find out. So sign says park closed at sunset, no trespassing, and it opens up at 7 a.m. So we are past that time where we can actually walk in here. And this little sign here greets you when you walk through the front sidewalk into the park, which talks about different invaders taking over the park or over native Florida, these invasive exotic plants. Like this air potato, the skunk vine, the camphor tree, the China berry, and Japanese climbing fern. So definitely a lot of things from China that are invading our native Florida landscape here. More than just cheap Chinese goods. And there's some other things on the side of the sign here. Talks about the watersheds, lakes, and ponds, and the different animals you can find here. The roseate spoonbill alligator. Looks like the bald eagle, osprey, and picker little weed. I'm not sure what that is. But there's plenty of things to do here. You can go fishing and kayaking. Pretty cool. So this park is massive. There's a bathroom right there, public bathroom. There's some places there for sitting there and eating, gazebos, which you can rent, have a little party, or have a little picnic or gathering. But very peaceful out here. And there is old Tampa Bay right there, right in front of us, on the first part of the park when you drive through. And there's plenty of picnic tables there to kind of sit there and have a nice picnic, or just sit on that nice bench and have a little bit of a nice little moment there. Just a nice little park. So anyway, this little information kiosk talks about the coolest thing here in this park that I want to point out, which is centered on this, the Tocobaga Indian tribe, which is one of the oldest Native American tribes in Florida. And they had several villages around the upper part of Old Tampa Bay, around this area, but specifically in this park. So there's a little bit of history there on this bulletin board. Talks a little bit about the Tocobaga Indian tribe of Tampa Bay. And what they were like a group of prehistoric and historic Native Americans living near Tampa Bay, Florida, roughly up until 1760. So they have different villages and different burial mounds around this area. But one of the things we're going to see today is one of the coolest things here in this park that I'm going to point out. There's a little map about this park, Philippi Park. Kind of shows you where your vantage point is. Several places for picnic shelters, boat ramp, fishing, playgrounds, and historical Indian bounds also here. So guys, normally I wouldn't be showing you a run-of-the-mill normal park, but this one's really, really cool in terms of history for Florida and around this area, Tampa Bay area. So that's why I'm bringing you along for this quick journey to show you what is cool here. So you guys keep following me, and I'll show you right in a second here. So this tree is really cool right here. Very interesting with all these little bumps on the trunk. But that is not what we're here for. We're actually here for what's straight ahead. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. It's like a large mound of some sort. Very large mound indeed of some sort. And this is on the back end of Philippi Park. There's like plenty of these huge oak trees here. Very majestic oak trees right here throughout the whole park. So back in the day, this would have been a Tocobaga settlement here. And what's up this sidewalk is what we're here for. And what this sign says. So this is a Tocobaga temple mound. So this huge placard says it was built by Native Americans known as the Tocobaga. It is the largest remaining mound in the Tampa Bay region. The mound was made of alternating layers of shell, sand. Remains of posts indicate that there were at least one structure on top used for ceremonial purposes or the chief's dwelling. Archaeologists believe the ramp led to a town plaza at the base of the mound. So this right here would have led to a town plaza, which would have been right there back in the day, probably over a couple hundred years ago. So it says the village extended to the south as well as the west. In an L-shaped pattern, remains of the village were discovered in the early 20th century. The trash mound, known as the Kitchen Madden, also left many clues about the culture and structure. And this goes on to talk about when the Spanish arrived, they described the Tocobaga people as tall, well-muscular, strong and agile. They were armed with powerful bows, stone-tipped arrows, and spears thrown with atlas. The Tocobaga wore little clothing but had many tattoos, signifying their rank and status within the tribe. Kind of like the many people here in Florida with tattoos. This village was a center of political and cultural influence and was home to between 400 and 2,500 people. And I did a video back on Panfilo de Navarez, back at that park that was down in St. Pete. And he has a little bit of influence in this placard here. And it talks about him landing back in 1528. So the demise of the Tocobaga was likely caused by European diseases for which the Native Americans had no immunities. It is believed that any remnant of the Tocobaga probably merged with the Creek peoples moving into the peninsular Florida during the 1700s. So there's a little bit of culture pictures right there of what they look like, or what it looked like back then. So the National Register of Historic Places recognized the significance of this site for several reasons. This village was likely the Tocobaga capital. So this would have been the capital of the tribe, this park, Philippi Park. It was occupied solely by the Tocobaga. There was no earlier occupation of the site. It is a type site for the safety harbor culture. So it points out several artifacts found here. Alright, so let's take a look at this Indian Mound here. So we take a look up here at the top. So there's a back end of, this is the back end of Philippe Park. So this is a little bit steeper than probably what's seen on video, but so this is the very top of the mound. There's a few benches right here to sit down and relax and kind of observe nature. And also you have a good overview of old Tampa Bay right here. There's plenty of walking trails here, sidewalks, so a lot of people are walking right now, getting some good exercise right here. Down below us, people are sitting there observing, relaxing, right there next to the water. And there's trails all the way back in there. So we would be walking right now where the Tocobaga Indians would have walked back in the 1700s. So like it says, the biggest Indian mound in Tampa Bay. And we are tall, guys. We are definitely tall up here. Or actually high up here. So this place is listed as a National Historic Landmark, which it mentions on this placard here. Under the provisions of the Historic Sites Age of Act of August 21st, 1955, this site possesses exceptional value in commemorating or illustrating the history of the United States. U.S. Department of the Interior National Park Service, 1966. So this is what's on this rock right here at the base of the Indian Mound. Pretty cool. So right in front of Shelter 1, there's another piece of history here, a little placard that says, right here, it says Menendez, Spanish governor of Florida, after building Fort St. Augustine in 1565, came to this site in 1567 and persuaded the Indian chief Tocobaga and his 1,500 braves who lived here to accept Christianity. Menendez erected a blockhouse for a mission used by Jesuit priest Father Rogers and 30 soldiers. Let me try to get a little bit of a zoom on here. And it says, later during Rogers' absence, the Indians massacred all but 3 soldiers, and these were killed when Rogers' ship appeared in the bay. The mission was abandoned in 1568. So this placard was erected by Florida Society Colonial. It says Dames 17th century, January 14th, 1961. It's a pretty cool piece of history right here. And you would find this in front of Shelter 1 in Philippi Park. Right in front of this little waterfront area right here. So I was talking to one of the park rangers, and he mentioned that that big mound that we were at was where they conducted the burial ceremonies, not where they actually buried the tribe members, but where they actually buried the tribe members was right behind me, which sits this playground right here, right over there. So that's where they would actually bury the remains of the ancestors of the Tocobaga tribe, right where this playground's standing right here today. Pretty weird. So right at the top of this hill is this playground where they excavated several skeletons from this burial mound. So these used to be Indian burial mounds, coming from talking to that park ranger. And I believe University of Florida and US University of South Florida were here, and they actually did some excavations here and found several skeletons from the Tocobaga tribe. So this was reportedly the ancient burial mound of the Indians right here, Tocobaga Indians. So kind of creepy though, a little bit creepy factor with the playground being right here and kids playing on top of where people were buried at in the past. So I believe you can rent these big seating areas, these big shelters here for picnics, or for any kind of gatherings. The grills are kind of closed off because of COVID-19, but there's like a lot of things here at this park, like volleyball courts over there. And I want to say there's a softball field here also. Another point of interest here at this park is this grave marker here. Odet Philippe, born Lyon, France, 1787, died at the site at 1869. Not really sure if he's really buried here, but he was one of the most colorful figures in Pinellas County history. He was the first permanent non-native settler here in Safety Harbor, and he acquired 160 acres of land around this whole area. He had a big citrus farm here, plantation industry. He also was a successful businessman who also introduced cigar making around here and citrus. And he supposedly died at this park somewhere, and he's buried here, but there's no one knows where he's buried at. But so they decided to put this marker right here to kind of commemorate his history here, his influence here, the importance of him. But it says right there, as the first European settler in Pinellas County, he established St. Helena Plantation, now Philippi Park. Philippi was the first to cultivate grapefruit in Florida and introduced cigar making to Tampa. His descendants populated this frontier. He was said to be a doctor and of noble birth. So this little place right here is just a little marker off to the side, off the main road when you come in Philippi Park. And it's just up this sidewalk here, up these steps. So another cool piece of history concerning Philippi Park, and that little concrete sign marks his marker up here. Odet Philippe's marker. And across the street is another big marker here too, or placard. And it still talks about Odet Philippe. Let me just get a little close-up view of this. It just says Philippi Park on this commemoratory Count Odet Philippe, not Count Dracula, Count Philippe, a native of Lyon, France, and surgeon in the French armed forces under Napoleon Bonaparte, settled in 1842, arriving at this point in a sailing vessel, the Nay. In this area he established St. Helena, his plantation, and upon it was the first to adapt the grapefruit to Florida culture. Here he raised a large family, many descendants of whom now reside in Pinellas County. So pretty cool bit of history here. There's all these little walking trails along here around this park. In every nook and cranny of the park, you can find a little trail to walk down. Plenty of trees. Pretty nice, peaceful serenity here too. Makes you think I'm like back in the day of the Tocobaga Indians. I'm walking on the same land that they're walking on. Probably some of the same trees that they saw here, and same greenery here too. But very, very nice here. Lots of breeze from the Tampa Bay here. Nice Gulf breeze. Nice big trees here, oak trees. Very cool. Alright, so this is the base of the mound right here on the other side by the water. Helicopter right there. And that's where we're at before. Right up top right there was the top of the Indian Mound. Just walking along the trail right here. The sidewalk. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the video for today. Thanks for joining me on this little excursion around Tampa Bay, Florida. And I will do some more videos like this. If you like this, hit that like, subscribe button. And hit that like button for sure if you like this video. And I will see you guys later. Take care.
Thank you.